Good morning, happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Track Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tatch. I'm here with Robin Donald, and it's been yep, we can hear you now, bro. It's been a slow week, but a busy week for the Yankees because there's still a lot of rumors going around of who's coming, who's interested, who the Yankees are interested in. Couple of small moves being made throughout the league. Cashman's doing his usual, just grabbing a couple of guys off waivers, depth pieces, maybe trying to gain some prospects to kind of add into trades to save the guys that we're waiting on. There's a lot of different angles that could be looked at. But before we get too far into it, if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you are not subscribed, hit the sub button. Let's give a little quick shout out to everybody that's hanging out in the chat. We appreciate you all. We got Jonathan. Good morning, Jonathan, here early as always. I think he was sitting here for an hour waiting for us to come on. We got Steven B in the building. What's going on, Steven? Happy Friday. We got Mazza in the building. We got FL Diamond Jason.
Uncle Tats, tell us about some good news with the channel. I believe that our about things are up and running with our channel, right?
Yep. Things are up and running, and not that we will change anything that we do, but if you so choose, we do have the option now for the super chat. So no pressure there. Just because you don't do it doesn't mean we're going to ignore you. But that is an option for everybody if they so choose. We would greatly appreciate the support. But getting back to the roll call, we got JT in the building as well. Good morning, JT. We got Mello in the building. What's going on? We got the strike zone here. Anthony Garcia is with us. Dev, as always. FJ. I mean, all the key people are here. And let's get to this thing with how Blake Snell is saying that, it's coming out that he's interested in coming to New York. Because we were saying the other day, and a couple of the other streams were saying that he's preferring the West Coast. Does this change the landscape of where free agency is going because of the money that's being thrown at some of these pitchers, that they're willing to go outside their comfort zone for employment? Rob, what do you think?
I sure hope you can't hear them landscapers out there. They are right outside my window. Okay, good. That's why I had myself muted. I was like, of course they started. But I think he just wants to get paid. So we talked about it, I think, last Monday night on the After Dark, how he's friends with Judge. So that would certainly help his case. And he's pitched in the East Coast before with Tampa Bay. So it's not like he's a stranger to the East. And if he's limiting himself to the West Coast, there's like two teams that might pay him, and that's the Angels and Giants. So if that's the case, he's only going to go to a couple of teams. Now, if he starts saying, this could also be a Boris thing, like, hey, say you want to go to New York, and then people are going to think the Yankees are interested, and guess what? The price is going to go up. This could all be smoke and mirrors. This could be legit. I say if it is legit, go get him. Why not? He's a damn good pitcher. I know a lot of people are concerned about his innings, but he and Montgomery had very similar numbers in terms of innings pitched last year and how many times they went into the 6th and 7th inning. It's just that Montgomery has a better track record of throwing a lot more innings per year. Yeah. But Snell's got the stuff, man. He's got number one stuff. And you pair him up with Garrett Cole, that's deadly. And then you think about Rodon being better. That's a really good top three. So if they're willing to pay the money, go do it. I don't see why not. We've been talking about Snell for a while. If that's what the Yankees want to do, if it's just money, that shouldn't stop you. Go get the guy, because you're going to have a very good chance at locking teams down, especially in a playoff series. If you got Cole, Snell, Rodon going as your top three, you got a better chance at winning than you do losing.
Donald, what do you think?
Get me Blake Snell, baby. Get me all Blake Snell, baby. To be honest, at the start of the offseason, I was wanting Blake Snell. I was looking at that looking at our free agency and I was thinking, it's a slim market. And Blake Snell is by far the best pitcher in free agency, and it's not close. And to be honest, if I'm looking at also the trade options, I like Blake Snell because we don't have to give up prospects, and I want to restock our cupboards a little bit after giving up 7 or 8 pitching prospects to land Soto and Verdugo, and Grisham, of course. So I think free agency is the way to go. Now, what was the last episode? I was very high on Montgomery and things like that. But I'll tell you what, if you can get a Blake Snell, oh baby, bring me all of that, because here's how they can do it. They could. It doesn't necessarily matter how big the contract is, but if there's a decent opt-out after like 3 or 4 years, then there's not really a downside. So that's what I would do. And if you're looking at Yamamoto, right? Blake Snell's been there and done that. He's won 2 Cy Youngs already. He's proven. Yamamoto was unproven. Now, obviously, I'm not diminishing what Yamamoto is going to probably do in the majors, but I'm just saying, like, if you're looking at where you hedge your bets, I would hedge my bets with someone who's won 2 Cy Youngs already in the majors. His season in Tampa Bay was 2021. Was insane. A couple of years ago, he was absolutely ridiculous, insane, redonkulous season that he put together. And then you think about the year he had last year, the good year. Just look at it, man. Like, this guy is the ace. He's an ace, right? You get Garrett Cole, Blake Snell, who are both friends, so that's a nice bit of chemistry right there. They work off each other. That's fire. It's absolutely fire. And also, him and Montgomery had the same amount of like 6 inning appearances last year. So, all this stuff about Montgomery's more durable. Well, to be honest, this basically still pitched the same amount of innings last year. Not really a big difference. Go for it. Get the ace in there. I would love that move. And Montgomery is a fallback. There are some good trade options, but I'm very much on board with bringing Blake Snell in here.
Yeah, and I think the biggest negative on Snell is the innings. Everything else, all his numbers are fine. So it's if they go that route, it's just going to put a little more pressure on the bullpen. But they've already done, the bullpen survived to a degree with the pitching staff they had last year. Where they do lean on the bullpen a lot. But like I said on Wednesday, Boone loves the bullpen. If he's the one pitcher that we have that's not going to reach the 6th inning or further, they could withstand that. If they can get other pitchers to go into the 7th. So you're not really draining your bullpen, day in, day out. That's going to be the problem. Coming to New York, look, the money's going to be what it is. I think the way the market is dictating right now, he's going to get paid. He should. He's got 2 Cy Youngs on his resume. He is the next, after Yamamoto, he was the next big guy to get. So he's going to get his, and with Boris as his agent, he's getting paid. There's no doubt about that. It's how much will the Yankees go? Do you give him more AAV with less years and try to entice him that way? Or, do they just try to give him, like a 5-year deal with $30 million? What would your ideal contract be for Snell where you feel like we're not overpaying?
Probably something with opt-outs like Donald mentioned. And that's what something we've been hearing about is he might be inclined to take something like that now. Maybe let's say he takes like a 3-year deal with a high AAV. So maybe he gets like 28 to 30 million, but it's only for 3 years. So you're not a team that signs him isn't necessarily locked in long term because there is some concern about regression with him because of his walk rate. He walked the most amount of people in baseball last year. He had a ton of strikeouts, and also he's very good at stranding people, but a lot of people don't think that's going to be sustainable. That kind of pitching mentality that he has, where it's like, I don't care if I walk you, I'm going to get you out, or I'm going to leave you on base anyway. That may not be sustainable, although his stuff is filthy. So maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So maybe you go 4 years, 5 might be the max, which I don't think that's too big of a commitment. He would be 36.
Mm-hmm.
You're already going to be having Rodon till about the same age anyway. So what's another one that's going to be 35, 36 by the time his contract ends? I don't see a team going past 5 for him. 6 maybe. That might be just to get him done, just to get the deal done. A team might go to 6, but 5 might be the magic number. But maybe he wants 3 with an opt out, or something like that, or even 2 with an opt out. That's possible. If teams are trying to go hard for Dylan Cease, he's got 2 years of control. What if you sign Snell for 2 years, high AAV, kind of like what Correa did with Minnesota, where he's getting 1 year with opt outs and all that? Doesn't he have like an opt out after every year, Correa? So maybe Snell does something along those lines where he signs a 2-year deal with an opt out, or 3-year deal with an opt out, something along those lines where you're not having too much of a length commitment, but the financials are there. He's going to make his money. It's just that he can opt out sooner and go back into free agency.
There's not really a downside to like a year 3 opt out. That means that Blake Snell can to see if he likes New York. Say a year 2 or year 3 opt out gives the Yankees this little window to go all in while you've got this mega outfield that we've just put together. And you've got Garrett Cole in his prime. Like you add Blake Snell in there for that 2 or 3 year period. There's not really a lose in that situation. If Blake Snell is everything that we expect him to be, then he'll either opt in or we could renegotiate. But if he wants to go elsewhere, fine. At least we got him for a 2 or 3 year period while we make the most of Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto's prime. Makes all the sense in the world, really, when you think about it.
I think we're saying it. Everybody in the chat saying the max is a 5-year deal. It's the where do you put the opt out? The 3rd year. I think that's really probably the best way to go. Give him a 5-year deal on a 3rd year opt out. Somewhere between the 25 to 30 range per year, and go from there. I think that gets it done. I think to say that it would be. I think you can't go too low on the AAV because you are signing I know it's hard to say you don't want to sign somebody for what they've done, but what they're going to be able to do. But his resume speaks for itself. I think that's going to up the price a little bit, especially with an agent like Boris. Boris is going to be walking in there with the 2 Cy Young in each hand, going, all right, what do you got for my boy? And that's where it's going to go. I think it's going to be between 25 to 30 million per year. It's just years. The years is going to be where it gets a little muddy.
Well, it's possible that because remember Rodon in his first year he made less, and now he's making 27. I think he made like 21, 22 last year, something like that. And we just saw apparently the Dodgers are giving Yamamoto like $5 million this year, and then it's backloaded the rest of the way through. So they are so good at this luxury tax manipulation thing. They're taking it
again.
They're so good at it. And so I'm wondering why no other team does it. Like, it's not like the Dodgers are the only team that can do this. Like, maybe you do something like that with Snell, where it's like, hey, we still want to be able to add to our bullpen. So if year 1, your AAV is a little bit less, and then it jumps up a little bit, similar to what they did with Rodon. I'm sure they can make that work out where he's getting paid good money and you can still have a little bit of flexibility, go get a Jordan Hicks or something like that to add to this bullpen. And then you have that long relief option in Cortez. You have Hamilton that can throw multiple innings. F. Ross is a guy that can give you multiple, well, maybe not this year because of his coming back from injury, but we've seen Canely give you multiple innings. They have guys that can throw a couple innings out of the bullpen. So you have the options in case you have to take him out after 6, but who knows? Maybe he can give you a couple of 7-inning starts this year. It's not out of the question. They can make it work. They really can make it work. It's just a matter of, do they want to do it? We hear about the interest all the time. The Yankees apparently are sincere in their interest with Dylan Cease. There's interest on both sides about Blake Snell, but until they do something, it's all just speculation right now. So we'll see. I want Blake Snell. I would not be opposed to it in the slightest. Go get him if that's your move. If that's the guy you want, go get it because we need it. We can't be like picky and choosy right now about what starting pitchers we have because we only have 4 and one that's really reliable right now. So we have to get starting pitching. And if you can get the NL Cy Young winner to pair with the AL Cy Young winner, I don't want to see a single person complaining about, well, he only threw 180 innings twice. You don't know what he's going to do next year. If you can get Blake Snell with Garrett Cole, you do that every single day of the week. I don't think there should be a single fan complaining about that.
No, realistically, we have about 3 starters and a bunch of 6 starters really right now. Maybe 4 and a bunch of 6 starters. So we definitely need one very good arm. So it was 2018 that he went 21-5 with like 227 strikeouts and a 180 ERA. That's just, I mean, that's Ron Guidry numbers. Now I'm not expecting him to put up Ron Guidry numbers again in 2023, but it wasn't all that long ago. So 31 years old. I think you certainly can't go any more than 6 years, but there probably needs to be an opt-out midway through, I would say. And I think that would be a fine offer. And then, yes, of course, as Rob brings up, we've got other names to mention. Dylan Cease. The White Sox are apparently definitely moving him. So we've got that as a possibility. Another one, we've been talking about Edward Cabrera, but we've not talked about Jesus Luzardo that much. And Jesus Luzardo has had a better year than Edward Cabrera last year. A much better year. Mid 3 ERA, ton of strikeouts. The guy's an absolute monster. Apparently, the Yankees are very hot on Jesus Luzardo as well. So there's definitely some options. If I was to tier it, I would rank it, go all in on Snell. And then after that, Luzardo. And after that, Cease. I'm not totally sold on Cease. I don't know. He had such a bad year last year, and I can't guarantee that he's going to be great again this year. I think, I mean, I know that Matt Blake's going to fix certain aspects to him, but I don't know. It seems like an awful risk to, invest his contract, which is about 28 million per year.
No,
it's not.
No, he's making like 8-9 million. He's on arbitration. 2 years left of arbitration.
Yeah. Dylan Cease is on arbitration.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Still, I don't know. I wouldn't invest much in him because I didn't like his year last year.
Yeah, well,
his money is the issue.
Cease, yeah, it's
the prospects.
Yeah, that's what it's expensive.
They wanted 2 top 100 prospects and 2 other top prospects from the Reds. So if that's the Yankees' return, would be Jones or Dominguez, most likely Jones, Chase Hampton. They want MLB ready starting pitching. That'd be Will Warren and maybe Pereira just to get another top 10 guy. Is that a price the Yankees are willing to pay for 2 years of Cease? I wouldn't do it. I'd be more willing to give up Jones for a starting pitcher, but I'm not giving up 4 top prospects, especially giving up Warren and Hampton when you've already given up so much pitching depth. It doesn't really make sense to me because, yes, Cease is good, but is he going to be 2022 Cease or 2023 Cease? That's the question. Because if he's in between, that's still a good pitcher. Is it worth 4 top prospects? I don't know, but I'm saying NFA. I'm saying I'd give up Jones before I give up Dominguez. I would rather not trade any of them, but if I have to give up Spencer Jones to get like a really top line starting pitcher, I'm entertaining that idea. I don't think the Yankees have a choice if they want to get like a legit number 2 with Cole. You're going to have to pay the price because what do we know every year? What costs the most in a trade? Pitching. We had to give up a lot for Montas. We had to give up a lot for Gray. We had to give up a lot for James Paxton even. We gave up Justice Sheffield, who was a top prospect. We give up a lot for pitching every year that we go acquire it. So, and it's that way. It's every team in baseball when they have to go get pitching. They got to give up a lot. The Mets were able to get 2 top guys while paying the money for 40-year-old pitchers. So that's how it works. You got to pay the price for pitching. I don't think the Yankees are giving up that kind of package for Dylan Cease. I don't think they do it for Corbin Burns. So your only other option is either you sign Blake Snell or you go and try to get someone like Luzardo or Cabrera who's going to cost you a little bit less. And then you look at the B-tier free agency, and it's not very good. So are we okay with Clevenger? I don't know. Is Clevenger the guy? Because if you're not going for the big money and you're not going for the big trade, it's Clevenger, Lorenzen, and then you go build a super bullpen. That's the only other option. So they kind of have to go get Blake Snell or make the big trade.
Yeah, just to correct myself, it was that he's owed at least $25 million over his last 2 years of arbitration, according to the Athletic. So it's not per year, but it's $25 million over 2 years. But yeah, there we go. It's something to consider because he was really good 2 years ago, runner-up in the AL Cy Young. So
that's what I was going to say with Cease. It's more of the way that the White Sox looked like they were on the uprise and then just kind of flatlined. He might have just mentally checked out, which is not always the best way to go. It's not a good look. I'm not going to say that, but I think like we're always saying, a change of scenery does sometimes do these athletes really well. It might be you put him on a contending team, he's back in the game. He's mentally there. So but the price on Cease is the problem. Cease isn't a guy, even with the 2 years of control, that's not a guy I'm flipping Jones for. I wouldn't go that far, up our rankings. The problem is you're leaving yourself the issue. Yeah, I don't think Orioles need pitching. Yeah.
He's right. They got so much more depth than we, because they got a young talent at the MLB level, and they got several guys that they can give away. I think he's going to the Orioles.
That's possible. I wouldn't.
Or the Dodgers.
Well, Dodgers, they're going after everybody.
And they can get him too and still be under 297. That's the thing.
Yeah, the scary thing is the Dodgers are still not out of the pitching market.
No.
They've made it known to teams that they're not done yet. Possibly. They're open to it. Well, it's such a disgrace. Like, honestly, please put a muzzle on them.
No, look, what the Dodgers are doing, if it was our team that was doing it, we'd be cheering it. So it's hard to really.
No, I wouldn't. I think it's overkill.
Yep. But the problem that the crossroads that we're at right now is we still need to secure the rotation, but we don't want to give up the prospects to do it. And this is the same. It's how do you gauge which prospects are really untouchable, as opposed to which ones do you say, all right, do we want to go in with, a subpar 4 or 5 in the rotation, but we still have our prospects that might be good? Or do we, or you sell them while their stock is high, and then you're like, well, now, then you'll have people complaining that we need to get younger. How do you, where's the balance?
Well, remember what Cashman said after the season we had last year? Nobody can be considered untouchable. No. So, I mean, I'm sure they have their untouchables. Like, Dominguez is not going anywhere. I'm telling you, because I know a lot of people think that Jones has the better skill set, but Dominguez proved, even if it was for a very short period of time, he has what it takes at a very young age to be a very good major league player. Spencer Jones still has some stuff to work on. He needs to get better at the AA level. He needs to work on the strikeout rate. I think he will be very good, but there are some things he has to work on before he gets to where Dominguez was last year. But other than Dominguez and maybe Volpe, I think Hampton might be on that list because he is their best pitching prospect, but I don't think anyone else should be untouchable. Maybe Arias, but even that might be a guy that now, because he's still so young, you don't know what he's going to be in a few years. Maybe you consider moving him. Our GM himself said that no one should be considered untouchable, so I'm going to base it off of that. We might have our untouchables as fans, but if you're trying to win a World Series right now, which is what we're trying to do, you have to give up some prospects. And I know, trust me. I know, Anfi, not to bring up his name, but I'm saying this is the names that we have that are going to entice teams. So if that's what it takes to go get a front line starting pitcher in a trade, you have to entertain it. I'm not saying I want to do it. Don't get it twisted. Don't get my words twisted.
Well, are you saying entertain trading Jones?
Yeah, the right person. Why not?
You might have to think about it.
No, not for me. Not for me. He's now our number one. He's now our number one prospect. The rankings got updated. Jones is now our number one prospect, and he has been killing it from what I've heard. So I'm very excited about his prospects. To be honest, the only person I would have entertained trading Jones for was Juan Soto, but we managed to get Juan Soto without giving up Spencer Jones. So I'm locking up Jones and I'm locking up Dominguez, and I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna see how it plays out over the next couple of years. But you can't have enough elite prospects, and I'm not entertaining Jones just yet, especially for someone who you don't know is going to necessarily pan out in New York. So you can't guarantee. I think it would be safer to go with other options right now without having to give up Spencer Jones. And my guys with me here, salute.
No, look, I'm not saying that I want Jones gone. If the package is right and it's for a player in an area of need, not a want but a need, you have to think it through. You can't just say, "Well, that name," and I'm hanging up on you. I think that's where Cashman would be negligent to do that. I think look, we've had a lot of guys. It's like, oh, we can't get rid of that guy. We can't get rid of this guy. That are not even playing baseball anymore. You know what I mean? So to say that, look, the way I say it, if they've already been called up and they've played on the Yankees, not in the system, but on the major league level, I'm not moving those guys. It's like a Peraza, Dominguez, like those guys. I'm not moving them unless I have. Well, I mean, I want to say if I have to. I'd rather move the guys that haven't been called up yet because I don't know what they are. I'm not going to, we've gotten bitten so many times by you can't move that guy because he's supposed to be really good. Where's Davey Garcia now? Where's Greg Bird?
Bro, you can't let the past dictate your future. You can't let the past dictate the future. Like it's a different player. Different makeup.
But that's why I'm saying I'm not going to hold on to Jones if the right piece is available. Who would you rather?
But you can't use the argument. Oh, but what about what happened to Greg Bird? That doesn't equate to Spencer Jones. Like they're completely different situations.
A prospect's a prospect.
You can't just paint everyone with the same brush. You just can't. Spencer Jones has special potential.
Would you rather, if you had the option to have Luzardo on the team or Luis Hill, who would you rather in your rotation?
I want Luzardo, but I don't necessarily think you
have
to get Luzardo. But if you can't get Luzardo, I'm saying I'd rather go into free agency and get a solid signing because I want to restack our farm system a little bit.
He's not. None of you are wrong in what you're saying here. Like,
yeah.
We're not.
I'm just looking at a different point.
Right. It's a different point of view. I understand what Donald is saying completely because Spencer Jones is a different talent than any of these other guys we've talked about. However, teams are going to be asking for him for multiple years of a good starting pitcher. The Marlins more than likely are going to start with, well, what about Spencer Jones? And the Yankees could say no. And then you try to work something out. I'm just saying, if you have to make the move, if it's for what if Burns had 2 years of control and the Brewers said, we want Spencer Jones? Are you going to hang up the phone for Corbin Burns?
That's a better.
I know he's not. I'm just trying to bring up scenarios here. Burns is a rental, but he's also one of the best pitchers in baseball. So, if you can get him for if it was straight up 1-for-1, I would think about it. I've said this. I'm on record saying it. I would think about making that trade. I wouldn't immediately hang up. I love Spencer Jones. Trust me, I've been following him since we drafted him. I want this guy to be in our outfield, but if you're going to re-sign Soto, and I think we will, you still have Aaron Judge and Dominguez is there. Is Jones moving to first? He's a much better outfielder. So maybe, just saying maybe he becomes expendable. But at the same time, your easiest option is free agency. So obviously, if you can go the free agent route, go do it. But what if the Yankees are conscious about the money or the years or the draft picks that have to be giving up? We don't know what the thinking process is. I don't think we're going to trade Jones at the end of the day, but I'm saying from my perspective, I would entertain it if it gets us the right starting pitcher. For Dylan Cease, no, I'm not doing it. But if it was to get me Corbin Burns, which helps me win a championship this year, I'd think about it. I would at least think about it.
So not as a rental. If you're looking at the names now, there's not a single name I would give up for Spencer Jones right now, available in the trade market.
Look, I think where the confusion got was when I made the statement I would move Jones, but I also followed that up. Look, I don't want to move him. I think I'm with you guys. I think he's going to be a stud. But you have to. It's also the name attached to the trade on the other end. Like Rob said, you can't just hang up the phone right away. You have to entertain the idea that Jones could be in a trade if the same thing like what we said with 2 years ago when Soto was on the market from Washington. Look, we didn't know what Dominguez was yet. And I didn't want to get rid of him, but if that's what it cost to get Soto with the controlled years, I was willing to do it. It's the same thing with Jones now. Jones is the new Dominguez for us. We don't want to let him go. We want to hold him tight. But if the package is right and it's the right move at the right time for the right player, you can't just hang up the phone. You have to entertain the discussion. You have to entertain negotiations on that. You can't just shut it down.
And you have to think about it from the
I would think that'd be negligent.
And you have to think about it from the other team's perspective too. The Yankees, I know Damian just said, I'd rather give them quantity over quality. The other teams might not like our quantity. They might not be satisfied with Peraza and Pereira like everyone else is suggesting. And Ella, I know that's why I said that I don't want to move him to first base because he's so good in the outfield. I mean, are you not listening? But anyway, I agree with JC. Go get Cabrera. I've been saying his name for weeks now. Go get Cabrera because he's not going to cost you Spencer Jones. And you get to keep him. I would rather keep him, but I'm just saying because I want to win a championship more than anything right now. And if trading Spencer Jones can help me further that championship goal, I would think about it. But it has to be for the right guy. And the right guy, I don't know if the right guy is even out there right now in a trade. And I just broke my pen. But I don't know if the right guy.
Well, you just said it yourself. You don't know if the right guy is available right there. So you don't want to make Spencer Jones available for someone you don't know is the right guy.
But I'm saying if he was out there,
right guy.
Yeah, I'm saying, but if that guy was out there, I would definitely entertain. I wouldn't say no. Like, who's an elite? Think about the elite starters in baseball right now. You have Garrett Cole, and who's your top 5 in baseball? Like, let's say Castillo was on the market. Would you give up Spencer Jones for him?
It's a good question, but
see, but you're thinking about it.
Probably not. No, I actually I'm sticking to my belief that I need to see Spencer Jones play out over the next couple of years, before we make any major decisions. But there's not a pitcher on the current market who I would entertain Spencer. I'm talking about certainties. I'm not talking about like what ifs right now. If Corbin Burns had more years of control, I would consider it. But for rental, absolutely not. It'd be crazy. So,
no, I wouldn't attach him to a rental. No.
So that's the thing. Like, if you're asking me who I think are the top pitchers in the market, I think Garrett Cole and Blake Snell are in that conversation. And you can get Blake Snell for nothing but money. That's why I think Blake Snell makes a whole lot of sense. And I think that's what Brian Cashman's thinking. So, Taz, what did you mean in the title saying Cashman thinking small? What does that refer to?
Well, the couple of guys you picked up off the waivers, we're not making the big splash, but he's still making a couple little moves.
Okay.
Is he building up the roster for a trade? Is he thinking small to shoot big?
Well, I think these are just little minor moves to restock some of the depth that's been hurt through the Rule 5 and the trades that we've made. So I don't think it has anything to do with future trades necessarily. But I think he's restocking some of the depth. But Cashman's thinking big. That's my takeaway from it. I think these little small moves are actually Cashman thinking big. And I'm never exactly the biggest Cashman fan, but there's no evidence to suggest he's thinking anything other than big right now because he's looking at the top end of the pitching market. What are the names that we're being linked with? Luzardo, one of the best names in the pitching market. Dylan Cease, one of the better names in the pitching market. Blake Snell, the best name in the pitching market. He's not looking at Imanaga, who was looked at as a 4th starter, from what I'm hearing. He likes Montgomery, but I think he prefers Blake Snell. So he is looking at the top end of the pitching market. He wants a number 2. From what I'm seeing, it looks like he wants a number 2 for Garrett Cole. So for me, he's thinking big, and I love it.
He should.
You don't trade for Juan Soto to make small minor deals.
No, you're right. He should be thinking big. He should absolutely be thinking big, and it should be Snell or Montgomery or a trade for Luzardo or Cease. Even though I still think you can get 2 starters here. I'll continue to say his name. I'll mention it as many times as Li mentions trading DJ LeMahieu. Go get Edward Cabrera. Go get him and get Blake Snell. That is a very good offseason. If you're telling me you got Verdugo, Soto, Grisham, Snell, Cabrera, and you can still have the financial flexibility, go get a Jordan Hicks. We're set. We're good to go. And guess what? You didn't give up any of your top prospects besides Drew Thorpe. He's the only top prospect you gave up. You sign up for that every day of the week, wouldn't you? That'd be a brilliant offseason, and we'd be ready and loaded for 2024. And now he just got to wait for spring training. And I've seen JC been bringing it up the whole chat, and I've been loving it. Get Edward Cabrera. He said Snell, Cabrera, and Hicks. That's it. And that's the way you go. That's the way you don't have to worry about would you or would you trade Spencer Jones? Would you or would you not trade Chase Hampton? Blah, blah, blah. You don't have to trade those guys for Cabrera. It would not take Spencer Jones to get Edward Cabrera. It would take you a pretty decent amount, but it wouldn't be guys that are going to hurt us in the farm system rankings. So that's been my go-to name this entire offseason. If you compare him with Blake Snell, your rotation's better, your bullpen will be better because somebody's going to the bullpen, Schmidt or Cortez, most likely Cortez, and you've strengthened everything on your team with 2 moves.
I mean, another aspect is you also don't want to trade Spencer Jones before you know for sure that you can extend Juan Soto. We are not guaranteed to extend Juan Soto. I think we will, but we're not guaranteed at all. So before we start giving up some of the best pitching prospects, best hitting prospects we've ever had, I'd rather make sure that we can tie down Juan Soto for the rest of his prime. So that's another aspect to not wanting to give up Spencer Jones just yet. But I think Edward Cabrera would obviously be the cheaper and smarter option. I've been saying Edward Cabrera for the last couple of weeks anyway, along with Rob. So I'd like that. But for me, my whole focus right now is Blake Snell's or Jordan Montgomery. I'm not giving up on the Jordan Montgomery idea if we can't get Blake Snell. I like the idea of having a proven starter, and it's only going to cost us money, which the Yankees have a ton of. And so that's where I'm at the moment. And I'm excited to see how our prospects do, because we've got some of the best prospects. We've got so many exciting prospects. Dominguez, due back in July, August. He was phenomenal last year. Spencer Jones is meant to be as good, possibly better. So yeah, I'm excited by all that. You keep a hold of that, but also you try and improve the pitching as well, which we've got a ton of money. Spend it. Let's go.
I don't know. Oh, so no, I'm not. I'd rather go the free agent route before I go the trade route, because at least you could just get these guys on the contract that you don't have to move anybody along with them, and let the trade market as we get closer to pitches and catches, let that develop on its own, just like with the trade deadline. Sometimes you have to wait until the last minute to see how desperate a team is to make a move. I think making trades this early, obviously for a guy like Soto, you don't wait, because you don't want to get outbid. But it's get Snell, get Hicks, then worry about the trade for Cabrera. I know I said I wanted to get my rotation in order first, but you got to go to the free agent. You got to get them off the board, because other teams are going to start getting desperate and they're going to start overpaying the longer this keeps drawing itself out.
Yeah.
Facts,
I mean, I get that. Trust me, I get that. I just believe that I don't think the Yankees let Soto walk. They can't. They really can't. They cannot let him go. If they had to pay $50 million a year for him, do it, because you cannot let that guy walk out the building after the season. But there is that chance that he doesn't. FJ, I love that rotation that you put up there. Cole, Snell, Rodon, Cabrera, and Schmidt or Warren. Give me that. Sign me up every day of the week for that. That's a championship rotation. Or at least the top 3 is better than a lot of teams are going to have in baseball.
Are we forgetting about Nestor Cortez?
I think I don't think they have 3 lefties in the rotation. I think he gets moved. Because if they do the Schmidt to the bullpen thing, you're turning him into Jabba Chamberlain. What they did to Jabba Chamberlain. Remember, they just did back and forth, and he never really could get into a groove with the Yankees. So I don't want to do that to Clark Schmidt. I think he's got good stuff for a bullpen to be a multiple. Maybe he's the Michael King now. They could do that, but they have Hamilton for that. I don't want to keep screwing with Clark Schmidt because he's like 27, but He's only been in the league for a couple of years now, and if they continue to do this bullpen starter, he's going to have no consistency. It's the same thing I said with Cabrera last year when they were putting him in AAA and then calling him up, then AAA and then calling up. He couldn't get anything consistent. He couldn't work on anything because by the time he got to AAA and took one at bat, guess what? You're out of the game. You're getting called up again because there's an injury. He couldn't find consistency. You're not going to be successful if you're going back and forth between the bullpen and starting rotation. You got to pick one for him. So we'll see what they do there. But if they get Snell, do you want to have 3 lefties in the rotation? I don't think you ever really see that in baseball.
I mean,
Plus, we can use the extra lefty.
Was an all-star like the season before last.
Yeah.
Will he accept a demotion to being a middle reliever after that? And does he deserve just to be tossed aside like used garbage? I mean, this guy is, and prior to and it wasn't just a one season. The season before, he was excellent too. There was a time where he almost pitched a no-hitter. So, for me, I think one starter is an absolute necessity. A second starter is almost a luxury because Clark Schmidt should be assured of a rotation spot. He's got the stuff. He's got the makeup. Plus, he's someone that I want to continue to develop. I want to see a little bit more of Clark Schmidt. So you got him. So that's so. Say we add Blake Snell / Montgomery, whichever name. That's the first 3 spots taken up. Then you got Clark Schmidt. That's 4. Nestor Cortez is a very good 5th starter. Do we really necessarily have to make another trade for a starter if you've got Nestor Cortez as a 5th starter, but you've also got Will Warren that can come in as a 6th starter? Luis Gil is another possibility, and also the guy that we acquired in the trade recently for Esteban Florial can come in as a spot starter.
They're all injury question marks, though. Morris is constantly hurt. Heel's just coming back from Tommy John. Warren isn't even on the 40-man yet. I know they'll make space for him, but we still have to see what he's going to do in the spring. Because if he has a terrible spring, you're not going to see him for a little while.
But those are still 3 arms.
Yeah, but how many injuries did we have going into the opening day last year? You can never have too much starting pitching. That's from the Yankees themselves. So if you can get a 6th guy, then you have the battle for the 5th spot, Cortez and Schmidt. I don't want to get – I've said it several times. I don't want to give up on Cortez. I'm not ready to give up on him. But he is also coming back from injury. So is Rodon. So if one thing goes wrong with them, is Cody Morris going to step up as the 5th starter? Is Cody Poteet, who we just signed yesterday, going to step up as the 5th starter?
That's another arm.
Yeah, but these are guys that are all like, maybe, maybe not. Bullpen guys. So if you can get a 2nd starter and it's not going to cost you much, and Cabrera is under team control for 5 years, it makes sense just to have that depth, because we saw how much we needed the depth last year. A lot of our depth is gone. If you can add to it, go add to it.
I wouldn't move quick. I'm trying to, paying attention here, listen, following the chat a little bit. I'm not moving. I'm not trading Cortez. I like Cortez. He's our guy. Schmidt. We need these, but it's that question mark with his health between Cortez and Rodon. That's why I want 2 more starters. I'd rather go into the spring with 7 potential starters to fill 5 spots. I want that insurance. If we have to make a move during the spring, and make a tough decision, we can do it then. I'm going into the spring with seven guys in my rotation. They have to do something. They can't gamble on. Well, they were. What's the what are the odds of them being hurt 2 years in a row? Well, the Yankees proved that everybody gets hurt every year. There's nobody safe on the injured list when it comes to the Yankees. So I'm not moving Cortez at all. I'd rather put him in the bullpen than trade him. Same thing with Schmidt. But I don't want either of the. I have those guys as my 4 and 5 starters. We still need a 2 or a 3 to slot behind or in front of Rodon.
Yeah. Look, if you want to trust Cortez, fine. I have no problem with that. I've said that several times. I have no problem with that. I would move Clark Schmidt to the bullpen, but if that's the case, then you better keep him there, because what if next year you need another starter? Well, we could just put Clark Schmidt back there. It's gonna screw him up. This is the guy that's also come back from injuries. When he was drafted, he was coming back from Tommy John, I think. So what is that going to do for him? So yeah, he deserves a spot, but we also have seen the Yankees constantly have injuries. So having that extra guy that's already major league proven, everyone gets hurt. The entire roster gets hurt. So, I mean, it never hurts to have depth. That's why I'm saying I would be, if they just get Snell and then load up on the bullpen, okay, fine. You put your trust in a 3 lefty rotation. Okay, I'm not going to be like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? We just don't really see that a lot. Yeah. That's something you don't see a lot of. Like 2 is the max a lot, but if you want 3, go get, and that's it. Go do it. If that's what you think is good to go, then go do it. All I'm asking for you is to get that legitimate guy behind, or like you said, in front or behind of Rodon, because we all know no one's going to go in front of Cole. So Cole's 1. Is Rodon your 2? If Rodon's your 2, then who's your number 3? Is Rodon your 3? Then go get Blake Snell. He's your number 2. And that's the move you're willing to make. Go do it. But they have to do something soon, because I'm sick of the speculation. I just want them to make a move, because we're getting closer and closer to spring training.
No, I think they, I think Moz is onto something. He's throwing, rotation. Cole, Snell, Rodon, Cabrera, and Schmidt. But those are the 2 names that you want in front of or behind Rodon. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think there's any controversy about that. It's getting to the discussion of where do you put Cortez or Schmidt? Because some of us want to see Schmidt in the bullpen. Some of us would rather see Cortez in the bullpen. But whatever decision you make, the Yankees have to live with that decision and leave it alone. Like you said, we don't need another jobber. That dude got screwed up enough. We've talked, trust me, he's been very vocal about it. He's been on Maz's show. He's been on Hector. We've reached out to him. It's the pitching, the rotation, such a freaking question mark. It's actually starting to drive me crazy. I'm getting a headache.
We talk about how much we need starters, right? But now it's like, but we don't want to move one of these guys to the bullpen. So that's the question you have to face yourself. Look, if they just get, like I said, if they get 1 starter, fine. But you better make damn sure that these guys, you're doing whatever it takes to keep these guys healthy. And that's one thing we've all talked about, is this medical staff the Yankees have needs to be addressed, and they haven't done that. So they better have some new technology or something, a whole bunch of Advil in their goddamn locker room to keep these guys from getting hurt. I don't know what it's going to take, but if that's the 5-man rotation you want, whether it's Snell or Monty, and then you have Schmidt, Cortez as the 4-5, I'm fine with that. But if something goes wrong, and we've seen, history will tell you that look, they're preparing for Stanton to get hurt. So you obviously have to prepare for injuries. They're waiting for it to happen at some point. So you have to have a contingency plan. I don't know if Cody Morris he's a guy that can make a spot start for you in May or something, but do you want him starting every 5th day? I don't know. You got him as a depth arm, but right now he'd be your 5th starter or 6th starter at this current moment. So you, no question, have to get another starting pitcher. But I would be a lot more comfortable if they got 2, because we've seen the injury history with this team come back to bite us in the ass every season.
Donald, what are you thinking?
Actually's got a point here. We need to see how spring plays out. Because there was the same debate about Clark Schmidt last year. Is Clark Schmidt a bullpen arm? Is he a setup man? Or is he a starter? And he proved last year that he was actually a very valuable starter. So we can't dismiss the options that we have internally as an option. So for me, my focus right now is fully on getting a starter to play behind Garrett Cole. And then after that, closer, because the closer is so important. So if it's Hicks, whatever, needs to be a closer. We need to get a closer in. We need to add to this bullpen. And then after that, then we can look at a fifth starter. I'm not going to make a big deal out of like a fifth starter just now. We need to get a 1B, and then we need to get a closer. Priorities for me. And then hey, if there's a way we can get like an Edward Cabrera cheaper, after we signed Blake Snell, then yeah, fine. We'll look at definitely. You're not going to turn down getting an incredible arm for a good price, but I think I would right now. I would focus very much on Blake Snell and then Jordan Hicks, and also, if it doesn't work out with Blake Snell, and go get Jordan Montgomery. If we don't land either of those two main free agents, then we're going to have to start looking seriously at giving up some really good prospects to go and make a trade. That's the way I'm thinking in my head right now as to how we prioritize getting a 1B for Garrett Cole. So obviously we look at the top end of the free agent market. If Jordan Montgomery doesn't want to reunite with the Yankees because the Yankees screwed him, don't blame him. Fine. Blake Snell is actually and Scott Boras are actually using the Yankees as leverage in order to get his move to the West Coast. Fine. If that doesn't work out, then we go right. We're gonna have to go and get Jesus Luzardo, or we're gonna have to go get Corbin Burns. In that situation, then we have the prospects to go and make that move. But I'm not gonna overthink about two starters when we haven't even got the one yet. So let's get the one. Then we can think about the second. But closer is also something that's so really important to me over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I have my priority as the two starters just to take. We need a rotation that's going to take the pressure off of the bullpen. Because the bullpen had to carry a lot of the weight last year between the lack of innings that were being pitched throughout all of them, except for Cole. So 4 out of your 5 starters couldn't get through, the second turn of a rotation. The offense couldn't put up a run if you gave it to them. If you walked 5 guys in a row, that was the only run they got. They need the rotation. Because if you don't have a legitimate star rotation, you're just going to end up going into the trade deadline with a burned-out bullpen with arms that nobody wants, or they're all hurt. That's why it's overall we need the pitching depth. Let's just sum it up that way. We need a lot of pitching depth going into the season. The other question mark in the bullpen is Efros. We don't know what he's going to be like when he comes back.
One thing about him is he doesn't throw very hard, so I think he can come back from the injury pretty well. I don't know if he's going to be ready immediately, but he's another option. I'm not too concerned about our bullpen because we have so many guys. Like our starting projected bullpen right now is already good, and we can't forget about Marinaccio still an option. Efros, De Los Santos, Luis Gil could be out of the bullpen. We have so many guys, and we can always sign like 1 or 2, or even make a small trade for one. Or you can get one from the Marlins. I've been saying that for a long time. You can get 2 guys from the Marlins because they need a righty. They have so much left-handed relief pitching. It's just everything works out for the Yankees and Marlins to make a trade because we have what they need. They have what we need. It just everything matches up. So I'm not worried about the bullpen. But if you can go get Jordan Hicks, go get him. I'm
definitely not worried about the bullpen because you could also, as this comment here, Hill throwing 100 miles an hour already. Yeah. Hill is another excellent, enticing option. Thing is, who was talking about Ian Hamilton until last year, right? The Yankees find a way of coming up with fantastic arms out of the bullpen, and that's their one skill set that they will have. Each year, they come up with new names out of the bullpen. No one was talking about Ron Marinaccio a couple of years ago when he was great for a year. No one was talking about Ian Hamlin. He was great for a year. So I'm not worried about the bullpen. The only aspect of the bullpen I'm worried about is closer. I'm not sure if necessarily yet that we have an internal option at closer. So that's why I think signing one is probably more of a priority. But every other aspect of that bullpen, we're going to find it internally. And there's every chance it could be Luis Gil, or it could be someone that we don't even know yet. Heck, it could be one of these little dudes like Morris that we just picked up. Could be anything. We don't know. Because the Yankees are so good at creating bullpen arms. So I'm not too worried about the bullpen. Yeah. That aspect of the bullpen, only closer.
Let me go back in time for a second because I got I'm a disclaimer here. I'm not 100%. I'm not serious when I say what I'm about to say here. So take this as a joke, but I'm bringing this back for the comedy purposes and for the nostalgia. But I have a trivia question.
Oh boy.
Who was the catcher for Blake Snell? He had these stats with this catcher: 11-3 with a 1.29 ERA and 147 strikeouts. Who was his catcher?
Sanchez.
That's right, baby. The agenda continues. Gary Sanchez, he's coming back. He is coming back. My former trivia co-host, he's back. Gary Sanchez, bring him to the Bronx. He returns. The Gary Sanchez redemption tour is here. 2024. Let's get it.
Redemption tour. Maybe we should get rid of. Why don't we move Woodford and bring Sanchez in to be his personal catcher?
You know I wouldn't complain about it. I love Gary Sanchez. Bring him back.
This is definitely a new dawn here in the Pinstripe Chronicles because Uncle Tat got a trivia question right. Yeah.
Without even thinking about it.
I know. It's like, fine. He is popping now, Uncle T. He's a new man.
Yeah, driver. Yeah, return of the Kraken. Yeah. Yeah, get Gary Sanchez, then trade him.
Oh, you can flip him like somebody else. Trade him, acquire him to trade him.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think that's intentional. I think the ship has sailed on him as a Yankee. I don't think that's an option with Imanaga.
No, I don't see it. If they're going to sign a free agent, it's got to be Snell or Montgomery.
Yeah, it's one of those two. And then any other moves are going to be through the trade market. But we'll see what happens over the weekend. 2 days is a long time. A lot can happen. So, but that is going to wrap things up for us today. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you have not done so already. We appreciate all of you guys in the chat. Hope you enjoyed the week with us. We enjoyed it with you. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Stay smart. And as I always say, wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.
Return of the Kraken.